Hey, what's going on, my fellow astrophotographers and astronomers? I'm Astro Nick about 27, and it's about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just got done photographing the Ring Nebula. So my original plan tonight was to photograph the Dumbbell Nebula, and I got about probably 7 minutes worth of data on the Dumbbell Nebula, but my guiding kind of got a little bit messed up, so I kind of spent like the last couple hours trying to like juggle around to figure out what I was going to do. So eventually I decided to switch over to the Ring Nebula. Obviously the Ring Nebula through my setup is relatively small, but there it is, guys, the Ring Nebula. This is M57, so that's what I think. I got a little over an hour and 3 minutes, just because the Ring Nebula through my telescope is very small, and this kind of telescope is a William Redcat 51. It's a really good wide field refractor. So yeah, I've been outside now since like probably around 11:30. Obviously right now we got the moon, the crescent moon right there, and we have Jupiter, and then right on this part of the sky we have the ring planet Saturn. So I've been out here for a while. So I'm about to go inside now. I'm about to go take my flat frames, and then I'm going to start stacking and start playing around with a little bit on Photoshop. So the only reason why I shot an hour is just because I already know how small the Ring Nebula is. But the only reason why I decided to switch over to this to the Ring Nebula is because when I was at that state park, the Ring Nebula was one of the 2 deep sky objects I've seen through this guy's big telescope. So I decided to photograph it because I really wanted to photograph a planetary nebula tonight. So let me go ahead inside, guys, and I'm going to start working on my image. Alright, so I only went for an hour and 2 minutes worth of data on this planetary nebula just because it's really small through a small telescope. So this right here is in Photoshop. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see it. So M57 is actually very small. Obviously, you know, if you have a bigger size telescope, you'll be able to see much more detail. But through a small refractor telescope with the Redcat 51, it's really small. But that's why I didn't go for much exposure time on this target, just because it's small and you can't really see much. Because if I zoom all the way out, it literally the nebula literally blends in with the stars. But this is in the constellation Lyra. Even still, it's a Messier object, and it's a planetary nebula. Even before going on to this target, that the Ring Nebula was going to be this small. But last night didn't go so well. I started shooting the Dumbbell Nebula from the start, and for some reason my guiding got all messed up. And I live in a Bortle 6 sky, so it's a struggle sometimes just trying to find these targets because I can't see like any of the constellations that they're in, because the stars are just washed away with light pollution. And if I mean, obviously if I didn't have to work full time, I would 100%, you know, travel to at least a darker site or somewhere out in the countryside. But sometimes you're just gonna make do with what you have. And my guiding got messed up too, which I don't know what that was all about. So I ended up, you know, flip-flopping around targets and stuff. So that's why I landed on the Ring Nebula last night. Hey guys, so last night went pretty decent. Obviously I've had some flaws last night with photographing the Dumbbell Nebula, so I had to switch over to the Ring Nebula. The Ring Nebula is relatively small, especially through this small refractor telescope. But it's a relatively easy planetary nebula to find, just because it's literally in between 2 stars in the constellation Lyra. Ring Nebula is one of the many planetary nebulas that the Hubble Space Telescope photographed. And also, it's just cool to look at a leftover remnant of a sun-like star that has recently, you know, within the last 7,000 to 8,000 years, I believe that's how old it is, shedded its outer layers. And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to these types of objects, is we're looking at a leftover remnant of a sun-like star that pretty much got so massive when it was in its main sequence phase, and it shedded its outer layers, and the only thing that's left over now is the core, which we call a white dwarf, which is even hotter when it was a main sequence star. And then over time, that white dwarf is eventually going to cool down into a black dwarf, which is literally think about it, like a hard rock that's completely made out of carbon. And that's what's going to happen. And eventually, these planetary nebulas are in these supernova remnants, whatever kind of remnant we're talking about, is eventually going to be recycled into our galaxy, and that material is going to be used to create newer stars. So, and I just knew going into last night that if I had any backup plans, the Ring Nebula was going to be my backup plan. And my guidance has been getting messed up too the last couple times I've been outside, and it was also my first clear night I've had in a while. So, but the Ring Nebula, a really cool object. Definitely, it's not ideal with shooting with a small telescope, so I definitely recommend having something bigger. But even still, M57 was cool to shoot, and I'm definitely looking to get back outside again and try to get the Dumbbell Nebula next again, and try to get a nice stacked image. If you guys want to see more of my content, please subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.